Well,
We do need a, well, do we have any other new business?
yeah. and-
Yes, I have one item of new business.
Okay,
Something that came up a year ago, and I have been looking at it rather closely, and I think the timing is never easy, but I think the timing is correct, to be fair to all parties involved. I'd like to make a motion that the Select Board not renew the contract of our current town manager, which expires on June 30th, 2011.
I don't hear a second.
I second that.
What is the thing that you were talking about, Dale?
What is the thing that I'm talking about?
Renewal of the contract.
I had some significant problems last year with the process, and I don't believe that we should, as a select board, renew the town manager's contract. And I think that it would be appropriate to do that now, so that we have time as a town to explore what the correct process and do the correct process for something starting July 1st would be. And also, that would be, I believe, the most fair to the current town manager as far as timing to plan for when that contract would expire.
So if I understand it, you're making the motion just because you don't like the way the whole process works. Has nothing to do with his performance.
I'm making the motion because I believe we should not renew the town manager's contract.
So is what you're expecting to have happen is for the town manager to work without a contract? Or is this an end run around trying to fire the town manager?
There's no firing involved.
So there's
He's
just
a-
no contract?
He's an employee by contract as specified by charter for a specified period of time. And I am making a motion that when that specified period of time is over with, we do not renew that contract. According to the town charter, there are steps that we need to take if this passes to then pursue what we do for a town manager after June 30th. But those steps aren't appropriate until this motion either passes or doesn't pass.
Well, I am a little bit surprised, but I certainly can say I've had some recent questions in my mind. I don't think if the decision was made now that I just don't think things are up to par at the present time.
But we haven't done a review. We haven't evaluated subjectively or just, by pulling something out and throwing comments like we had in the past.
Well, it's been put off several
This
times.
is, I'm reluctant to do anything on this right now because we have not been given an opportunity to think about this. Normally, we do the contract in conjunction with a review.
And I would move to call the question.
I second that.
Okay? I have to raise a point of order on this, and that's the eligibility of Tom Farley to sit in on this or vote on this. There is, I believe that he would have a bias on this because of the outstanding issue going on with his property in regards to his neighbor's property. Secondly, with the situation on Hoboken Garden and the action that the town will be taking on that.
Wow, he was taking pictures, huh?
That
What's
What
that
are you
issue?
talking about?
Wow,
Mr. Saltonstall, his neighbor, has asked the town,
we know about that.
which is the town manager and us, to take action to enforce the property line that Mr. Farley
Bill, that
overran.
matter, as you know, and we all know, is being taken care of.
No, it
by the planning
hasn't.
board. It
As
is.
of Mr. Saltonstall today, it has not been settled. It has not
I
been
have
signed.
plenty of information from lawyers.
Bill, have you been involved with Mr. Saltonstall today? Where's that information
I
coming from?
received an email from the town manager
to say, it
keeping
was
me
in your
abreast.
mailbox.
It just keeps coming from the town manager.
Which is
And that
exactly
is
why you should
exactly
not
why.
be able to vote on this.
Oh,
Well, no,
that's
but-
not true.
What do you
It
mean
says
that's not true?
nothing.
He feels personally like this is something against him.
Well, I know, but the rest of us are here.
That is true, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't recuse himself from this.
Well, the town, look, both,
I mean, there's
you got
no,
my email that said, and I sent it to every select board member, that the town manager had, and now I see Bill, I had no business. This matter was taken up by the planning board and should have been left there.
but
And
it shouldn't. This
has
we
nothing to
are
do with the
elected
planning
bo-
board.
This is
Planning
an-
office, I think,
Okay,
is
but
what she
this
was
is an
referring
elected
to.
the same thing happened with my neighbor, and I didn't know the right line, and I put a fence someplace on her property and had to move it, and it took a year to resolve. And, I
But your
mean,
neighbor didn't go to the planning office and say, I want to press charges because this is not working out.
He has
Not
come in,
pressing
he
him.
did, he came in and he filed
You
a
guys are
formal
not-
complaint.
you guys are now, it's public, okay, and you're now
Yeah.
talking about things that aren't facts, Bill, okay? The stuff's here, I hired a lawyer because of what's going on, okay? I didn't need to do that, I had a debate going on with my neighbor over either a purchase or removal of my driveway. I made the mistake, I'm working with my client, with my neighbor, okay?
Yeah.
The neighbor, I do not know where the town manager enters into this. I know where code enters into this, and Tom Ford was very professional. I can't say the same of Scott Bickford, okay? So Tom Ford was extremely professional how he handled this, quote unquote, he said it should be mined to handle. It should not be going up through the ladder like it did. And I actually have a problem with you if you want to talk about being influenced by somebody. You are just as much influenced about what you do in this deal as me. It's my property. I'm negotiating with my neighbor. This never should have been until there was a file for a complaint, which wasn't filed until the next day I responded to the complaint, just like Tom Ford told me to do. Okay? Other than that, then I got a lawyer because of the situation, which I didn't really want to do. I don't think anybody wants to do. I got a lawyer. I've got all the letters right here. I've got the map. I've got everything. And you know, at the end of the day today, the two lawyers, not the homeowner, the two lawyers said it's settled.
I have not seen that from Mr. Saltonstall's lawyer.
Well, I got it right here if you want to see it.
you don't have,
You
I
shouldn't
don't
have
think any of us have any
Right.
business to see that.
If you
And
look
you
at the
worked out
charter,
your
if you look at the charter, we are responsible for enforcing the ordinances of this
Well,
town.
fine.
Would you read that? Did you read that email?
Tom, attached is a settlement agreement. Please sign it and have Lisa sign it and drop it off at the office in the morning. And I will send it off to Richard Olson, who let me know what happened tonight at the council meeting. Take care, Dana. I assume Dana is your attorney?
Yes,
Mr. Olson is Saltonstall's attorney.
you got it. I can go back further if you want to see more detail. I can go back on the other issues too, if you want. Like the issue, if we really want to get going, and this is what's bad about the taxpayers'
I don't
time.
think we need to
Okay.
go into your personal issues with regards to this. That's not what we're discussing.
Yep,
Okay?
I still haven't
I made a
heard.
motion to call the question, and it
I
was
second
seconded.
it.
And I still have the objection to Mr. Farley participating in this vote.
Then we need to have a vote on that
Because there's also
by the
the
select
issue of
board.
Hoboken Garden, which has been going on for years.
Issue of who?
You have a sign up there that is not supposed to be there. You constructed a greenhouse
Bill,
with a
for goodness
DEP.
This is gonna get into a legal issue with the town if you keep it
Again, I
up.
am saying he
gonna
has
come
a
into a-
bias
it's gonna come into a
against
legal
those
issue
that
if we
will
don't-
clouds his judgment.
Hoboken Gardens has been there for years.
Nobody's
for
told
goodness
us.
Bill, we need to, if you have a problem with eligibility, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on a point of order, it needs to come to a select board vote as to whether the remaining 4 members of the select board feel that Tom is
That is,
sake. So we have a new
able to
motion,
be.
or?
No, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to make sure I have the point of order here. You've made a comment that you believe Mr. Farley is not eligible or should not be eligible for this vote. My understanding is it then comes to a vote of the other 4 members of the select board to decide whether or not he is eligible for this vote or not.
That's correct.
Yes.
Mr. Peabody.
Yes, Mr. Chair. First of all, I think to not apprise me of this particular action really speaks to the ethical qualities which I'm looking at. I believe that the town attorney has weighed in on this and found that Mr. Farley should not be voting on my contract. Well, you may laugh, but he's your town attorney, and I can't wait to bring this on. I mean, if this is the way we're going on this, that he finds that there is a bias, that he finds that Mr. Farley is still serving illegally on the board.
Oh, come on.
That is according to
That is
the
true.
town
It was a
That is not
2-to-1 vote, people.
According to the
Took
town
3.
attorney,
It takes 3 for something to hold, and you guys voted 2-to-1 last year. So it did not hold.
Okay, wait, Mr. Peabody has the floor here.
And if you wish to proceed this way without my having due process, without my even having a review, and allowing the vote to go down this way, that's fine, then we'll go from there.
I also believe that Mr. Farley cannot sit on this for the reason that Mr. Peabody, as sexton of the town, is the supervisor of the assistant sexton. The assistant sexton is Mr. Farley's father. The assistant sexton also oversees the mowing contract, which is executed by Farley and Son, of which Mr. Tom Farley
Well,
here
the
is the
answer
second
is-
person. I'm raising the reasons that I find that it is objection here.
I'd like to speak for a second, please.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
With regard to the eligibility of Mr. Farley, with regards to his alleged conflict of interest, we had this discussion a year ago. The town attorney sat here a year ago, and we were told that it was up to the remaining members of the board to either confirm him and Mr. Duke at the time or not. And that once the select board had made that decision, that the 2 opportunities to change that were either for the state district attorney to overturn the decision or for citizens of the town to believe it was a wrong decision and put together a recall vote to recall Mr. Farley or Mr. Duke. So I don't believe it's our place to go back and change that when we have not exhausted either one of those other measures for changing the decision that was made by the select board at a meeting that I would not have the date off the top of my head for. As regards to new allegations that you're bringing now, I don't know, none of us have any idea where the information comes from as to the nature, no information as to the yay or nay on it. But they're new allegations that at least myself, I have never heard before. And I don't think that pertains to this particular question. If they've been there, then they should have been brought up in the past if somebody's had an issue with them.
You wanted to make further comment?
No, I just want this, I just state my objections to the procedures publicly, and let the board be aware of those objections, and what the status of them is, the legality of Mr. Farley being part of the vote and the discussion, as well as apparent discussions prior to this meeting, that this would be brought forth on at least 3 of yours parts.